Someone struggling with hunger, how would you recognize them? By their clothes, their age, the way they speak? Would you notice a 16-year-old boy who got his first job,
not for extra spending money, but to help feed his little sisters?
or a mother who's in between jobs and
sometimes goes to bed hungry so her kids can have dinner?
or a 14-year-old girl who signs up to every after-school activity,
Not to make friends, but just to get something to eat.
or a retiree who fell ill and had to
choose between getting medicine or groceries.
I am the 1 in 8 Americans who struggle with hunger. People you pass by every day but never knew were hungry. I am hunger in America.
Hunger can be hard to recognize. Learn why at IamHungerInAmerica.org. Brought to you by Feeding America, 200 Food Banks Strong, and the Ad Council.
I see the future in our public school classrooms every day. I'm Jenny Benson, president of the Nebraska State Education Association. I also see how critically important parent and community support is to our students' success. Support your public schools. Get involved. Form a business school partnership or become a school volunteer. Great schools and great communities work hand in hand.
Sponsored by the Nebraska State Education Association, aired by the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Live from the heart of Lincoln, America, welcome to Ticket Weeknights on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Hello and welcome into the Daily Nebraskan Show on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. I'm Ben Droz, one of the sports writers at the DN, and I'm joined here, like every Monday night, by Anthony and Marissa, both of the assistant sports editors at the Daily Nebraskan. Guys, how are you doing?
Doing good.
Doing great. How are you, Ben?
Oh, like every single Monday when we're on the show, I'm going to say I'm pretty good. Pretty good. Had a lighter day today than usual for a Monday, so I'm ready to get at it. I have energy. Some Mondays I don't have as much energy. I'm good. I'm good today. So
did you get to watch the eclipse?
Why would I want to? It's kind of.
Oh.
I saw the one in 2017, and nothing will be better than that one in our lifetime. So
that's true.
It's like
it was pretty crazy how many people were out though.
Oh yeah, at the Union.
Yeah, at the Union, it was packed. Never seen it like
yeah,
that.
I was not expecting that. Like I was gonna look at it, but I didn't expect hundreds of people just gathering up. The chancellor was down there,
I know,
handing out glasses. So yeah, that was really cool.
Yeah, it was a cool experience.
I mean, the one in 2017 was super cool, and then this one was just like more lame than that one. So I was like, when I was scrolling through social media, it's just all equipped stuff, so I'm kind of tired of it.
Yeah.
It was hard for the national championship news to be coming through my Twitter feed, but it was just getting blown away by solar eclipse talk, but it is what it is. Speaking of March Madness, the madness is finally over. Well, I don't want to say finally. It's over. On April 8th, March Madness has officially ended. I won I had like 5 groups I was in. I won one of them and I got second in like 2 of them. So my bracket wasn't that great. Just UConn winning carried my bracket. So all you have to do is pick the national championship winner and your bracket would be pretty decent.
Yeah, I just want to give a shout out to the winner of the Daily Nebraskan bracket pool.
Oh, he's going to shout himself out.
It's myself, Anthony Rubeck. Shout out Ben, Marissa. You guys were right there with me, all picking UConn.
Mm-hmm.
Finished in the top 4, everyone. But, I just knew a little bit more ball than you guys,
Yeah.
So.
Like
I guess. You beat me
by
60, so.
Yeah, you just got to listen to me here. Everything I say on the show is true. Just know that going forward.
Hey, man, if you wouldn't have convinced me to pick Oregon in front of Creighton, I might have been closer to you. But so I kind of blame you there. But it's all good. I was like in the bottom of a lot of the bracket pools, and then when UConn won, like my bracket jumped up. But overall, we'll get into the game more. But just overall, March Madness, how'd you feel it was? Did you feel like this was a really good tournament compared to other tournaments? Do you think it was kind of average, or do you think it was a little below average?
I'd say it's about average. I think you know, as for like Cinderella stories, yeah, you had NC State move all the way to the Final Four, but other than that, there wasn't any of those little mid-major schools besides Oakland who pulled off just massive upsets. But I think that led to some good basketball down the stretch, especially when these higher seeds are playing each other. It leads to more competitive basketball that, if a 1 seed was playing a 13 seed, you wouldn't be sure to get that matchup. But then when a 1 seed is playing a 2 seed, then seems a little bit better. That being said, the final 4 games were pretty underwhelming. It really seems like that's been the case every year. I know the Florida Atlantic San Diego State game was an outlier last year, but national championship game, UConn beats Purdue by 15. Just an absolute dominant run by UConn. And I think in the end, that's a great story. I don't like repeat winners, but it's just you got to respect the UConn dominance the past couple years.
Oh yeah, they've just been so good. Marissa, what about you? Then I'll give my thoughts.
Yeah, I also think it was pretty average. I mean, I was honestly a little bit more interested in the women's March Madness than the men's. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, yeah, I definitely watched more women's than the men's, but I guess on hindsight's 2020, but I think it was always UConn, in my opinion. So I think
we all picked them.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And so I think tonight's game just showed how dominant they were. I mean, they accomplished what no college basketball team has since Florida in 2006. So
yeah,
they just solidified their dominance, and yeah, that was that.
Yeah, I mean, this was kind of the first March Madness tournament I feel like in a while where like it was just like even coming into the tournament, it's pretty obvious who the clear favorite was. When we got into the tournament, you could just tell UConn was the best team. Like it was just by far they were the best team. Ran through Northwestern, ran through San Diego State, ran through Illinois. Did pretty good against Alabama. I don't know if I consider that running through. Alabama kind of hung in there, but they still won pretty easily. And then Purdue beat them by, what was it, 15, 16? So, I mean, just a complete dominant run. Same as the last year. I mean, that's the one thing I got to respect is this UConn. This is one of the best runs by a college basketball team over 2 years. Like, probably the best ever. I mean, they've won like every single tournament game by 10 or more. Haven't they?
Yep.
In each of the past 2 years, like they haven't had a close game.
Yeah, the closest game they won was against Miami in last year's Final Four, and that was by 13 points.
Yeah, I mean that is just like crazy how like March Madness is supposed to be the most unpredictable thing ever, but UConn made it like they made it seem so predictable because you just knew what was going to happen. You just knew they were going to go in there and win. Like they just were such a better team than every team they played. It wouldn't matter what team they played. They were just the better team. Like I'm trying to think of any college basketball teams in recent history that even could have competed with this UConn team. I mean, the Baylor team that won was pretty good, but I don't think they would have beaten UConn.
Yeah.
UConn, they're just. I mean, what was even the other ones? North Carolina, Kansas. Kansas. They were good, but like UConn is just like completely another level. Like I literally can't remember a team that was this good.
Yeah, I'm reading from The Athletic, and I mean, they averaged 23.3 points per game in this tournament, which is more than last year when they averaged 20 points per game during March Madness, which is just insane.
Yeah, I mean, just their run, so crazy. Got to give them props. But I agree. I honestly feel like this was kind of a below average tournament. Like, I love beautiful basketball. UConn plays amazing basketball. But, like, I just got to be honest. Like, the Tennessee Creighton game, pretty good. But, I mean, like, there wasn't a game that had me on the edge of my seat since, like, the Texas A&M Houston game. I mean, I got to be honest.
Yeah.
I know, like, the Alabama-North Carolina game was close. But, like, I just didn't really care about that game because I didn't believe in either one of those teams. Just because they were both on UConn's side of the bracket is like, oh, the most they're going to get to is a Final Four. It was like you knew they weren't going to get past UConn, neither one of those teams. So, I mean, that was the same thing when, what was it? When I had FAU over Northwestern and then Northwestern won. I was just like, whatever. They're just going to lose in UConn next round. Whatever. I don't care about my bracket. But I know. It just like UConn made this. I feel like UConn, while I loved watching them play, they made this tournament less fun because you just knew what was going to happen. There wasn't like, I wasn't even excited about today's game. Like, this is probably the least excited I've been about a national championship game ever. I mean, I got to be honest. I just was not excited about this game because I just knew UConn was going to win. They're just a better team. I know Purdue's good. Zach Edey's been dominant. Great college basketball player. Not going to be a great NBA player, in my opinion, but very good college basketball player. One of the best in recent history. But UConn just so deep, so talented. They're coached so well, which is another topic for another day. Is Dan Hurley, is he going to try to go to like an actual blue blood team?
Kentucky?
There's been rumors that he could go to Kentucky because Kentucky's old coach, Arkansas.
Yeah. I do think you mentioned like a blue blood team. I feel like UConn is one at this point. I think they are. I think they were last year when they won. I think now for sure they've won 6 national titles. I know they've, haven't been the most consistent team.
Mhm.
Like think of just won in 1999, 2004, but then kind of went on a drive spell up until Kemba Walker in 2011, Shabazz Napier in 2014. Then,
He was a bust.
Yeah,
Sorry.
bust in the NBA.
My Heat drafted him and he didn't do anything. I'm sorry.
Sorry to
personal
bring
bias.
that up.
Personal bias.
But, then they were in like the American Athletic Conference, really not even making the tournament most of those years, but now back in the Big East where they belong, back-to-back national titles. I think they're a blue blood. They might not be, the Kentucky or Duke or Kansas, but they're definitely up there.
I mean, yeah, they're better than a majority of college basketball programs. I mean, there's over 300 teams that compete in Division I NCAA basketball. Obviously, like they're one of the best programs, but like you said, they're not Kentucky, Duke, North Carolina when it comes to as a program for basketball, which is why the Kentucky job intrigues me. Because if they were to offer him the job, do you think he would take it?
I don't think he would. I think, you could say at UConn, he's really done it all. Back-to-back national titles, just complete dominance in March. So it will make sense for him to move on. But I also think that, this guy, I think he's at the status where he can coach at UConn for his life. He can have a lifetime contract there, similar to John Calipari, but we saw how that turned out at Kentucky.
I said, how much longer does his lifetime contract reach? It ended this year pretty much.
Yeah, so it's definitely going to be interesting. I mean, him jumping ship to Arkansas just flipped college basketball completely on its head. And yeah, it's really just kind of weird how that was really the big news story, at least throughout Final Four week, and not so much the games itself, because everybody knew UConn was going to win.
Yeah. Their average margin of victory was 23.3 points. And then last year was 20. Like, that's just like, that's
what I was
insane.
saying. I clarified that was the win margin, not the average points.
But I know what you're talking about. But like, it's still just crazy that, I don't know. We got a text on text. I said, aren't they in blue blood though? The championship number is 6 for UConn. No, I'm not saying they're not one of the best programs. I'm saying like, it's still like Kentucky, Duke, and North Carolina are still like on another level, I feel like, as programs. Am I wrong to think that? I mean, UConn is starting, like, they're definitely on the rise. This is probably the best their program's ever been. But would you, I still wouldn't consider it on the level, especially for like, as a fan base or everything. Like, when everyone thinks college basketball, you think Duke, North Carolina, Kentucky. That's what when I think about March Madness or college basketball, those are the teams that I think about, because those have been the best teams in recent history and in the history of March Madness.
Yeah, it's very interesting, because then you think of, a blue blood like UCLA, which I know they won, I think, what was it, 10 in a row or 8 or 9 championships in a row with like Kareem
UCLA,
and all those people.
Yep.
They haven't,
11.
11 national titles, but they haven't won one since 1995. And this is kind of an argument you can make football-wise with Nebraska. Are they really still a blue blood?
No.
See, that's how I think as well. So it's just very.
I didn't even name UCLA though. I'm naming Duke, Kentucky, North Carolina, because those teams have been good still. I know, like Duke had a good run.
But then I feel like if you're talking about teams that have been good still, I think at least for now, you put UConn in that same conversation. I mean, they've won national titles back-to-back years. They've won it more recently than Kentucky multiple times. They won 3 since I think Kentucky won their last one.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just, I feel like they deserve to be in those talks.
I mean, no, I definitely agree that they're one of the best programs. I just don't know if, like, fan base wise, they're on the same level as those three. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It'll be interesting, but they're definitely getting up there. Like, this has been literally, this is the best 2-year stretch a team has ever had. Like, statistically, this is the best 2-year stretch ever for a team. It's crazy. Beat Purdue in the national championship. And can I just get your guys' like thoughts about the game? I mean, like, did you like from the jump feel that UConn was just in control of this game? Like, what was your thoughts on this game against Purdue?
I thought Purdue had a chance in the first half. I felt like they played them pretty close. But then the second half, there was a stretch of like 10 minutes where the only stat Zach Edey recorded was 1 rebound. He started out hot, but then I think he went 0 of 6 from his next shots. And he was really the only guy who showed up for Purdue. I mean, Braden Smith had 12 points and 8 assists, but then Zach Edey had 37 of the team's 60 points. No other player besides Smith had more than 5 points. And yeah, it was just UConn really took control in the second half, similar to what they've done pretty much every single game in March Madness. And they weren't afraid of Edey either. They were attacking the basket. Cam Spencer and Tristan Newton had some nice finishes on Edey. So you can tell this team is just very fearless, and Zach Edey presents a big challenge. But I thought even if he had 37 points, they still game planned extremely well for him, and they also just took his teammates out of the game as well.
So Zach Edey, his name is in pretty good company. There's only 3 players all time that have had 35 points and 10 rebounds in a NCAA men's championship game. Besides Zach Edey, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Bill Walton.
Wow.
His name are up there with them. Like it's so like, and what's funny is that those are both also traditional big men. Like, what it used to be in the NBA back in the old days, like a traditional 5. That's what Zach Edey is. But if we're talking about him, the next level for him trying to go to the NBA, that game might not translate. Isn't that crazy? Like, he's on a list with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and Bill Walton, 2 huge stars in the NBA. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is literally probably a top 3 NBA player all time. Bill Walton had a bunch of injuries, but he was still very talented. And Zach Edey might be, at best, a late first-round draft pick. Like, isn't that crazy?
Yeah, it just shows how the game has evolved over time. It's just the NBA game is so fast-paced nowadays. And, every player, if you want to have a chance to win games, you want to have, centers that can shoot the 3 ball. You have players like Victor Wembanyama, just incredible talent, incredible prospect. So it's just very interesting. That's really just what makes college basketball different from the NBA. I know a lot of people hated on Edey for just, the way he plays, but he dominates, he plays to his advantage. And it showed tonight. He just happened to go cold at the worst possible time for just a short amount of time. It was only 10 minutes, 10 of the 30 minutes of the game he played bad. The other 30 he played elite. And it just proved too big to overcome for Purdue.
I want to get to the Purdue side of this because, I mean, they got to the national championship. That's like very respectable. Fell to one of the best teams in college basketball history. No shot at Purdue. Like, they had an amazing year. Completely blew my expectations out of the water. I had them losing second round because I never believed in Purdue. Now I might have to start believing in Purdue. Or is this like a team that can maybe start consistently finding success in March now?
I mean, they got kind of the monkey off their back. They even had a chance in the Final Four to lose to a double-digit seed, but they didn't do it. It'll be interesting now because Edey will be gone. Lance Jones graduating as well. So it'll be interesting to see who they have on their team next year. I know they have another 7-foot guy on their roster just waiting to go off, though. So it's going to be really interesting. Will Berg, freshman, only averaged 2 points a game, 2 rebounds, but look out for him. It seems like Purdue always has a 7-foot guy that's going to step into that lead role. So yeah, it'd be interesting. They've always been a good team. They just had those upsets in March really weigh them down. But now that they got that off their back, Matt Painter, great head coach, Purdue, gonna be good no matter who's on their team, just with their standards. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see.
I mean, looking towards next year, how are you feeling about Purdue about next year? I know we still like transfer portal still yet to all shake out yet. But, Zach Edey's not going to be there next year. Do you still feel like Purdue's going to be one of the best teams in the Big Ten next year?
I believe so. They're still, unless, people transfer out or go to NBA, I don't think anyone would, but they're returning 3 of their 5 starters, Trey Kaufman-Renn, Braden Smith, and Fletcher Lawyer, who had a rough show. He had 0 points tonight, but, he's been a great player in the past for them. He was their number 2 option last year, basically. So, he's been on this big stage before. And Braden Smith, I think honorable mention All-American. He had an incredible year. So I think they're going to be right up there with, the best of the Big Ten easily. So,
do they usually do well in the portal?
They got Lance Jones this past year, who he was a big contributor for them. I will say that they don't, at least in years past, they don't really attack it as much as, say, other teams do. They're
like Nebraska.
Yeah, they're definitely more like, bring guys in and develop them and build them up. But picking up guys like Jones this past year, like shows me that, they really needed a guard like him on their team. Went out and got him, and he ended up playing really well for them down the stretch. So I can definitely see them, getting a few guys, maybe not 6 or 7 like Nebraska is going to be doing, but definitely 1 or 2 that are going to for sure make big impacts for them.
So did this so I said before, I didn't find this national championship game too exciting. How did you guys feel? I mean, one, I like watching UConn play. Maybe I'm a hater. I don't like watching UConn play that much. I know Zach Edey is very good, but I'm just I watch the NBA a lot, and watching Purdue play feels like old school basketball sometimes. When they're just giving it to Edey down low a bunch. I mean, he had 37 points, 39 points tonight. Did you find this game enjoyable to watch and exciting?
There were some moments. I mean, Cameron Heide's dunk for Purdue, his putback. That was just that was incredible. I stood up from my seat watching that. Me and my roommates have a mini hoop in our dorm room, and we mess around and recreate those dunks. So that was really cool to see. But yeah, I liked watching UConn play because they're just so unselfish. And that's why they've been so dominant these past couple of years. They just play such a pretty game of basketball.
Yeah,
where it was just they were getting wide open threes because they had excellent ball movement. And, as just a player like that, just a team like that, you can't help but watching that play. And then, yeah, Purdue, I like Edey more than the average person I'd say does. I think it was cool for him to, show out on a big stage. Well, yes, it was more similar to the game he's been playing all year. It wasn't like he was, proving the haters wrong or anything. He was just playing his type of basketball. But yeah, he was, again, the only guy who really showed up for Purdue. So yeah, it definitely wasn't the funnest game. Definitely, was looking down at my phone a lot during the game while the game was going on. But overall, it was good watching an elite UConn team play.
I mean, yeah. I mean, these were the best 2 teams, probably.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, in essence, it should have been a good game, but it's just even though Purdue was probably the second best team this year, they were just not even close to being as good as UConn. And this is what makes UConn's run so much more impressive. But one more question I want to ask before we throw it to break. Big Ten. Big Ten. Purdue got to the championship game. Illinois got to Elite 8?
Yep.
Before losing to UConn. Northwestern won their first round game. Michigan State won their first round game. Big Ten had pretty decent amount of success this year. Nebraska didn't win, but it's going to be coming pretty soon. Do you feel because in years past, Big Ten's gotten dogged on not being that good in the tournament because the way Big Ten basketball teams play doesn't really translate to the tournament, but they had pretty decent success this year. Do you agree?
Oh yeah, I definitely agree. I mean, I think I forgot how many years it was dating back to, but I remember seeing something the Big Ten champion, the tournament champion, couldn't make it out of the first weekend of March Madness.
Oh yeah.
They'd always get bounced.
Purdue and Illinois.
Very early. Yeah. Yeah. So it was definitely nice. I mean, just watching the Big Ten this year, you knew that Purdue and Illinois at the end of the day were the number 1 and number 2 best teams. Nebraska, Northwestern, Wisconsin, Michigan State, they're all good, all tournament teams, but you knew those teams stood out from the rest, and they really proved that in March Madness. So I definitely see that going forward with some of the elite teams in the Big Ten.
This also gives me more confidence for Nebraska because Nebraska beat Purdue this year. They got to the national championship. I know that was, big time in between those, but Nebraska beat this Purdue team. That's got to give you a lot of confidence about the direction this Nebraska basketball team is going. I know I somehow brought the national championship game, the conversation back to Nebraska. See, I'm good at doing that, but Nebraska, like I said, they might not be the most talented team, but they can beat teams like Purdue, and they got to the national championship. So that's got to bring some kind of confidence and excitement. This is why Hoiberg got the coach of the year. They didn't give out the national champ, like the quote unquote actual national champ, like coach of the year award. Like isn't there like two? Yeah, isn't there like two of them?
I think they did.
Did Dan Hurley get it?
I think it was Hurley. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or no, it was. Wait. Kelvin Sampson. My fault. Kelvin Sampson from Houston, which is very deserving, I think.
Yeah. No, Houston's been amazing, definitely. But yeah, I mean, Hoiberg won one of the Coach of the Year awards for nationally, and I mean, again, he's showed that why he was such a good coach. Where he's gotten this Nebraska basketball program is probably the best it's been in a really long time. I know it's like where the roster stands right now is a little shaky, but you got good pieces in Bryce Williams, Juwan Gary, Mast probably coming back, and they attack the portal good. They have a good chance to keep that going, and we'll get more Nebraska basketball talk coming in next segment as we're going to talk transfer portal because Nebraska picked up a name today. We'll touch on that next segment right here on the Daily Nebraskan Show on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
The dangers of secondhand smoke are well known, but what about secondhand aerosol, which is created when using e-cigarettes? Science already shows a secondhand aerosol can contain nicotine, heavy metals, and cancer-causing agents. Eliminating exposure to secondhand aerosol is an important step to keeping everyone safe. Breathe easier knowing the facts.
For help quitting, call the Nebraska Tobacco Quit Line, 1-800-QUIT-NOW, 1-800-784-8669. Paid for by Tobacco Free Nebraska. Aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Hi, Sean Callahan here of HuskerOnline.com, inviting you to join us here on 93.7 The Ticket. Every Saturday morning now in our new time, we're on from 8 to 9 with the weekly Husker Online radio show. We'll give you the latest in recruiting. We'll talk about what's going on with both football, basketball, and we'll probably share a few stories from the inside. It's every Saturday morning right here on 93.7 The Ticket. It's the Husker Online radio show from 8 to 9 a.m.
As an 18-year-old, I let my mistakes kind of take over my life. I was 0.5 credits away from completing high school, and I didn't do it.
10 years later, at age 28, Jackie finished her high school diploma.
When I found out that I was pregnant, I know that I had to do something for myself if I wanted to make her a better person and provide a better life for her. My family never stopped pushing for me to be better because they knew what I could become and who I could become as a person. My support team is amazing. The educational director, my sister, and even my 7-year-old daughter has just been more than the support that I could ask for. I've been given an opportunity, and I'm just thankful for it.
No one gets a diploma alone. If you're thinking of finishing your high school diploma, you have help. Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org. That's finishyourdiploma.org. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
In every office, there's two types of people. There are those who bring in bagels and those who eat the bagels that someone else brought in. Everybody likes the first person. Be that first person. Weekday mornings at 7:30, you have a chance to win a business box of bagels from Bagels & Joe. All you have to do is shut up, Sipple. 2 questions for you, 2 for Sip. Win, and the bagels are yours. Lose, well, you don't want to lose.
You lost Monday, you lost Wednesday, you're a loser.
Shut up, Sipple. Weekday mornings at 7:30, brought to you by Bagels & Joe.
Okay, it's time to sell the house. How do we even begin to choose from the hundreds of realtors in town?
Easy. We make a pros list.
You mean a pros and cons list?
No, just a pros list. We need someone with pro photography to showcase the house in the best possible way, pro marketing to make sure we get maximum exposure, pro negotiations so we know we get the best price.
This is one of those times where you already know the right answer, isn't it?
You know it is. Ben Blecker and Professional Realty Group.
Contact Ben Bleicher and the team at Professional Realty Group of Berkshire Hathaway's Home Services Ambassador online at prg-ne.com.
When you're high, you feel different. You think different, you talk different, you draw different, you listen to music different, but you probably knew that. Problem is, you also drive different, and not in a good way. That's why driving high is illegal everywhere. So if you're high, just don't drive. Make a plan to get a sober ride. Because if you feel different, you drive different. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Old School with DP and J.
So I knew that it was a crapshoot with the grown-up professionals at the highest level. Who's going to bet? I don't know whether the starting center's girlfriend broke up with him, whether his parents have groceries that week. I don't know whether his roommate and him had a fight. So why would I want to bet on that?
93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Hey, Husker Nation, Matt Davison here with 1890. It's an exciting time to be a Husker fan, and to keep that momentum going, we need your help. Nebraska has always been a leader in college athletics, and we're doing the same through name, image, and likeness. NIL is a unique opportunity for every Husker fan to have a direct impact on the success of our programs. Through 1890, 100% of your contribution goes to the student athletes. So go to 1890nebraska.com, choose your sport, become a member, and help the Huskers recruit and retain the best. Go Big Red.
Hey, it's me, your cell phone. We need to talk about something serious. I know you love me. I know you like using me wherever you are, but I feel like this isn't working out when you're driving. I know you may think that it's possible to focus both on me and the road, but I just don't feel the same way. I think we should spend time away from each other when you're driving. It's for the best.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
Back to The Ticket weeknights on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Hello and welcome back into the Daily Nebraskan Show on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Ben, Anthony, Marissa, still here with you. First segment down, 2 more to go. This segment, we're going to dive into Nebraska's new incoming player that's going to be coming in off the transfer portal, Andrew Morgan. Before we forgot to talk about the women's national championship game for March Madness. So we're going to want to touch on that because honestly, that game was way more exciting than the men's. I'm sorry. It just was.
For sure.
So, but first, let's touch on Andrew Morgan. I just want to get your initial thoughts. Tell me a little bit about Andrew Morgan. How does he fit in with this team?
Yeah, Andrew Morgan, he'll be a senior next year, so only 1 year of eligibility, I'm pretty sure. But he's a great player from North Dakota State, 6'10 forward, 245 pounds, averaged 12.9 points per game, 5 rebounds this past year. And yeah, he's really just a just a post player for Nebraska, someone to kind of maybe fill in for that Josiah Alec role that is going to be left open now that he's gone. I don't know if he'll be like a surefire starter, but he's definitely a great depth piece. He can shoot the three a little bit, shot 36% this past year, 37%
a little bit
on his career. He's definitely not known for it. I mean, he only made 12 last year, so that wasn't taking a lot. Definitely more of that player down low. But, he's very effective there. Shot 57.9% from the field throughout his time. So very high mark. And yeah, this is just a big get for Nebraska. This is a player that Hoiberg really wanted. He really pursued him right away. I think he was his first in-home visit on the offseason. So just a player that Hoiberg says mind out for and thinks fits Nebraska well. And I'm excited to have him on the team.
So I want to touch on, if you were to give a guess right now, do you view him more as a guy that's probably going to be coming off the bench sometimes coming into the starting role, if an injury or something happens, or do you see him as a guy that could potentially fit into the starting lineup?
I see him as an off the bench player right now, But I think it could be like the Alec role where, he comes off the bench for some games, but maybe switch in if they want to go big, want to move Jawan Gary to the 3, maybe put him in as the 4 or 5, go with Rank Mass. That's also just a question mark. It's not 100% confirmed if Rank's coming back.
Yeah.
I think honestly, I don't know. Like, it's getting weird, confusing to call because I feel like he would have already said it by now if he was coming back.
Honestly,
So
I mean,
I know he's weighing his options of playing professionally overseas and stuff like that. So it'll be very interesting to see how it plays out. But yeah, I think this is for sure just a great depth piece that could be anywhere from a starter to a 6th or 7th man off the bench. But if that's the case, if you're having Andrew Morgan leading kind of this bench unit, that's going to be a great sign for Nebraska.
do you feel like, so if they were to put him in the starting lineup and it'd be a bigger lineup, Gary at the 3, even at the 4 or 5, Mass and him, whatever, however you want to interchange that, do you feel like he could fit in the starting lineup next to Mass? Like, do you like his game? If him and Mass were on the floor together, do you feel like that would work for Nebraska?
I think it could. I think it'd be kind of the same way as Alec. I think Alec's probably a little more athletic.
Yeah,
in that
definitely.
way. And Alec, I don't know how much Morgan is like hustle wise and stuff like that. I'm sure he'll give it his all on plays down the stretch because that's just Nebraska basketball. But yeah, I think it could fit well, especially get this guy who, while he can shoot the 3 ball, it's not what he's known for. Whereas Mass, really likes to shoot and has had success from behind the arc. So again, just maybe have him be down low or him be the 5, Mass at the 4. No, that could play for some interesting matchups, especially come Big Ten time. But yeah, I'm not too worried about the fit, especially because, it's still very early in the process. Nebraska's still going to get a handful of more players from the portal. So, maybe we're at a case where Morgan and Mass might not even be seeing the floor at the same time most of the time. So,
I mean, Mass might not even be back next year.
Exactly.
Haven't gotten any word on that. It is a little strange. We haven't really heard any update on that. My view was, I thought Bryce Williams and Gary were way more important to keep than Mass. I think Mass is a good post player, but I think Bryce Williams and Juwan Gary were players you really couldn't afford to lose. If they lose Mass, it would hurt a little bit, but I feel like Hoiberg would be able to find somebody.
Yeah, I think the same. I think, Mass, obviously a great player for Nebraska, all Big Ten honorable mention. I think 3rd team for either media or coaches last year. But yeah, I think Bryce Williams, especially how he was playing at the end of the year, he was behind Casey, I would say, Nebraska's best player easily. And then Juwan Gary is just the ultimate glue guy for the team. He's their most consistent player. While he might not be having the best game scoring wise, he's more than making up for it on the glass, on the defensive end. And yeah, it would definitely be nice to have Mass back. I'm definitely hoping for that. But I do think that getting Gary and Williams back for next year is very huge for Nebraska.
Yeah, it'll definitely be interesting to see because it's kind of like once Mass makes his decision, we'll be able to really start piecing together, okay, what will this roster look like? Right now, it's just really up in the air because really it's Juwan Gary, Bryce Williams, and everything else is just kind of unconfirmed. So it's going to be interesting. But before we have to throw it to break, we have to talk about the women's national championship game because what a game. Caitlin Clark in Iowa against South Carolina. Iowa beat South Carolina last year, but I'm pretty sure they beat them last year in the tournament.
The Final Four.
But this year, South Carolina gets their revenge. Hasn't South Carolina only lost 3 games or something over the past 3 years? Something
like that.
Crazy like that.
Undefeated this year.
I'm talking about UConn and how dominant they've been. South Carolina, they might be on an even bigger level than UConn for women's basketball. It's been crazy. They've won 2 national championships in the last 3 years. You guys watched the game. Just give me your initial thoughts on the game.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
No, you can go ahead.
Yeah, it was just a very fun game to watch. Looked like Iowa was gonna had their way early in the first quarter, but overall, just the depth on South Carolina was just incredible. I mean, their bench outscored Iowa's 37-0.
Yeah.
So it was just very fun to see. I mean, Caitlin Clark still had a great game, 30 points, but overall, it was just South Carolina was just too much to overcome.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it was like Anthony said, it was just really fun to watch. I was telling you like before this that I thought it could be Iowa's day when they started 10 points ahead in the beginning and South
Yeah.
Carolina was just struggling to score, but I guess once they found the rhythm or whatever, they just locked in and it definitely got close at times, but yeah, they just played crazy and ended up with a pretty significant margin too. It wasn't as close as the
Yeah.
UConn Iowa game. So yeah, and I mean today with like the viewership numbers came out and that speaks for itself. 18.7 million viewers for that game, which is
Crazy.
crazy. More than a lot of games and yeah, I don't know. There's just like a whole list of like how many more viewers that is than other championships of recent. So yeah, that's really cool. And then Dawn Staley, like you were saying, I mean, South Carolina's just kind of solidified itself as one of the best. She's the only African American coach to win 3 NCAA titles, I believe.
Mhm.
And so that was really cool to see. Even after, winning already, she was still very emotional at the end, and you can tell how much it like meant to her. And I feel like a lot of people kind of maybe not wrote South Carolina off, but they did lose um, all their starters from last year this year, and so I mean, it kind of seemed that they were starting anew, but that didn't really seem to affect them at all, and they were able to come back, and I think they kind of flew under the radar this year,
Yeah.
but I mean, 38-0, that's pretty incredible.
And their coach made sure to give Caitlin Clark her flowers and said, "Thank you
Yeah.
for making this sport so popular," because that's the pull Caitlin Clark has on the game of women's basketball. Now,
Mhm.
she had another year of eligibility,
Mhm.
can come back, but I feel like with the social media posts, everything's been coming out. It's kind of written that she's going to be going to the WNBA according for the
Yeah, she's
draft.
going.
It's
Yeah.
it's pretty like I don't think she's officially said I'm going to the WNBA draft, but like
She declared, I
She
think.
did
she did.
declare,
Okay,
yeah.
okay. I just saw so many social media posts her thanking Iowa. I didn't know if she like officially
Oh,
said
yeah.
it.
She's
Okay.
probably gonna go to the Fever.
Yeah.
So
It's so weird they have the draft like a week or
yeah,
whatever
it's
after the
literally
national.
Monday,
Yeah,
like next
exactly.
Monday.
Like
Yeah.
just
So
no time.
but yeah, she had another year of
Yeah.
eligibility left, and it's crazy, but I'm not surprised that she wants to take the next step. I just really thought I can't believe the basketball gods didn't allow Caitlin Clark to win a national championship in college. It's crazy. I mean, she's literally one of the best players ever in the game. And I mean, not that it's any slight against her that she didn't win it. Like,
Yeah.
Mhm.
I know this is completely different, but if Messi wouldn't have won the World Cup, nobody was gonna look at Lionel Messi as a worse player because his country didn't win the World Cup. Like that's just completely different. Like you can only carry your team so far. So I really want to give props to Caitlin Clark because she's really changed the game of women's basketball.
Mhm.
Oh yeah, for sure. That was really the national championship was like the one thing that
Mhm.
she didn't accomplish, but
Yeah.
still not a knock on her at all. She took Iowa to back-to-back national title games.
Yep.
And yeah, it's just really cool to see the 2020 high school recruiting class for women's basketball. The top 5 were Paige Beckers, Angel Reese, Cameron Brink, Caitlin Clark, and Camilla Cardoso, which those 5 alone, like those 5 have just elevated the women's game, or they've helped put that kind of on the map as it should have already been before that, but they've really, drove it home. And it's just been really awesome to see them get the respect that they
Mhm.
deserve. And just the women's game, like Marissa mentioned, how the viewership, I think it was more than any men's college basketball game. It was more than I think all except for football games. I think like other sports like
Mhm.
baseball, hockey got more higher viewership than those championship games. So it's just very, very cool to see.
Yeah, it was the most watched basketball game, including NBA and WNBA since 2019. Um,
That's insane. That's literally the pool that she has.
yeah, and you were talking about like the other players, like Paige Becker is coming back.
Oh, yeah.
There's also like Juju Watkins and some other really great players, and so that's cool to see that they're still continuing their college career and hopefully the um college women's basketball will still maybe not get as much attention as the current moment with Clark, but still be on the rise at least.
Yeah.
So
before we throw it to break, I literally opened up Twitter just briefly, and the first thing that I saw was the Barstool Huskers account tweeted, UConn only won by 15 and Nebraska won by 16 against Purdue. So I mean, Nebraska played, I mean, they made Nebraska beat Purdue by 16 and UConn only beat them by 15. I mean,
I think that means Nebraska is national champions.
I mean, yeah.
Print out the t-shirts.
Get the t-shirts. I mean, Nebraska fans always make just random t-shirts for times like this. I saw the Benedict Alberts t-shirts when Trev Alberts left. This will probably have a t-shirt too. But with that, we're going to throw it to break. When we come back, we're going to wrap the show up with some baseball and softball talk right here on the Daily Nebraskan Show on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Alcohol has strained our relationship. Drinking too much can cause harm to friends, family members, and loved ones. By drinking less, we will save our relationship. If you or a loved one is looking for help, find a treatment facility near you at findtreatment.gov. For immediate support, call, text, or chat 988.
Brought to you by Nebraska DHHS in partnership with SAMHSA.
Be a memory for your grandchildren. Among Nebraska adults age 65 or older, 47% report current alcohol use. Drinking too much can cause harm to children, family members, and loved ones. By drinking less, you will still be around for your grandchildren. If you or a loved one is looking for help, find a treatment facility near you at findtreatment.gov. For immediate support, call, text, or chat 988.
Brought to you by Nebraska DHHS in partnership with SAMHSA.
Hi, it's Charlie Stone back with the latest update from Andy Goodyear of Honda of Lincoln. Andy, your new car selection keeps getting better and better every month. Can you tell our listeners all about it?
You know, it sure is, Charlie. It's great that our customers can come in, pick out a new Honda, and drive away with it that day.
How many new Hondas do you have in stock?
Well, right now we have just about 100 in stock.
Hey, I hear you've won some very important awards in your service department. Tell us about them.
Well, the first one is we won the award for the first fixed award. So the cars are actually fixed on the very first time they're brought in. Second award is our Customer Service Experience Award. And then our third award is our Honda Express Service Elite. And we rank the best in quality and customer satisfaction.
Maybe it's time you come experience the Honda of Lincoln way of doing business. 27th and Yankee Hill Road or online at hondaoflincoln.com.
Mario fue pintor más de 30 años. Cuando me dijo que se le estaban olvidando las cosas, fue difícil. Un día me dijeron que pintara el marco del lado por dentro y pinté el lado de afuera.
Yo le diría a la gente que le diga a su familia lo que está pasando con él.
Si algo se nota diferente, podría ser Alzheimer. Es momento de hablarlo. Visita alz.org/nuestras historias para saber más. Un mensaje de The Alzheimer's Association y The Ad Council.
24/7 threat monitoring, expert tech support, streamlined communications. Allo has a solution for that. Protect your business with Allo Business. Comprehensive firewall security, Microsoft Teams voice-integrated communications, cybersecurity and IT support managed by experts. From productivity to peace of mind, Allo has a solution for that. Allo means business. Protect your business by visiting allofiber.com/business.
If you came across someone struggling with hunger, how would you recognize them?
By their clothes,
their age,
the way they speak. Hunger can be hard to recognize. Learn why at IamHungerInAmerica.org. Brought to you by Feeding America, 200 Food Banks Strong, and the Ad Council.
Dance like a dad. It's a great way to make a moment with your kids. First, I hold my hands out like they're on a steering wheel. Then I look over my shoulder. Next, I put it in reverse. Visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Power Combo BOGO? Huh?
Yes, if you purchase an air conditioner, you receive a furnace completely free. At John Henry's, our professionals want to ensure you are comfortable in your home all year long, no matter what Nebraska has to throw at us. Call today to schedule your free estimate and learn more about the free furnace waiting for you. Give John Henry's a call today.
435-5555. John Henry's Plumbing, Heating and Air.
And electrical.
If you can plan barbecues and weddings, you can plan to protect yourself from a natural disaster. Sign up for local alerts, prepare an emergency kit, and make a family communications plan. Get started at ready.gov/plan.
Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council. Sick of being upsold at gyms?
My guy, you're currently a base member? For $90 more, I can upgrade you to our Shred membership. For $130 more, you'll be a Swole member. And for just $300 more, you'll reach Sweat Platinum.
At Planet Fitness, you'll get energy without the upsell. Never pushy, always free fitness training and equipment for every workout. It's fitness that fits your budget. Join Planet Fitness for just $1 down and $10 a month. Cancel anytime. Deal ends Friday, April 12th. See Home Club for details.
Start your Sundays off right with Jeff and Nicole Essink on Fitness Fanatics. Jeff and Nicole discuss health and wellness, how to achieve fitness goals, and more through the life of gym owners and gym goers. It's Fitness Fanatics from 9 to 11 a.m. on Sundays on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Back to the Ticket weeknights on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Hello and welcome back into the Daily Nebraskan show on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. One last segment to go before we are out of here. Ben, Anthony, Marissa still with you. We're going to transition now into Husker baseball and softball talk. We'll start with baseball because Nebraska moved up in the rankings. They were 24, now 23. They went 2-3 over the weekend against Ohio State. Can you kind of just touch on baseball the weekend that they had, Anthony?
Yeah, 2-1 series win over Ohio State. It was, just another elite performance from Brett Sears on Friday. Tossed a complete game, only allowed 2 hits. Just an absolute incredible performance. Won Big Ten Pitcher of the Week today. So he's such a great success story. Looking at his time at Nebraska, his time last year, and seeing him just completely dominate this year. And yeah, they were able to, that was really him on Friday. Defensively, Nebraska only needed 3 runs to get that win. The bats were on fire on Saturday. They won 7-3, had a 6-run 5th inning, really served as a difference. Sunday kind of staggered. Pitching wasn't the best. Couldn't really get the bats rolling. And then Ohio State hit a grand slam at the end to really just put the nail in the coffin. But still, great weekend for Nebraska. You got a series win. You moved up in the rankings. I know, going 2-2 this past week with the loss to Creighton as well. But again, Creighton, good team. Ohio State, not a bad team in the Big Ten. So definitely keeping your head up over that and don't take this week too hard.
Yeah, I mean, Nebraska currently sits 22-7 overall. They're 5-1 at conference play so far. 11-2 at home, 10-3 on the road, neutral 1-2. That's interesting. That's an interesting note. But
they won't be playing at a neutral until the Big Ten tournament now. So
yeah. So I mean, Nebraska this was just such a great start to the year. I don't know if you could have expected any better of a start for this team. I mean, true.
No, you definitely couldn't have. I mean, a lot of people had high hopes for this Nebraska team. Still returning a lot. We're returning a lot of old pieces last year as well as bringing in a lot of new guys, but no one would have expected them to be as good as they are right now. I mean, 22-7 overall is just incredible. They're ranked for the first time since 2021. They're a legit contender in the Big Ten. I think they're probably the favorite in the Big Ten, at least as of right now. RPI loves them. They're on track at this point. They could be hosting a regional. A regional could be in Lincoln.
Yeah.
Which is just something that honestly probably no one really expected going into this year, but it's definitely on the table. For sure, at least a regional berth for the first time since that 2021 year. So there's still a lot to look forward to, and it's going to be exciting to watch.
Yeah, once again, baseball went 2-2 over the last week, 2-1 over the weekend, beat Ohio State 2 times, lost their game on Sunday. Next game on Tuesday against Kansas. It's on the road. Nebraska 4 straight road games because after Kansas, they then go to play Rutgers on the road. Do you have any thoughts on upcoming matchup against Kansas or Rutgers, Anthony?
Yeah, there's going to be very interesting matchups. I mean, Rutgers has always been a team that is up there with the top of the Big Ten. Might not be the number 1, number 2 team, but always a good team. Kind of disappointing this year though. 1-5 so far in conference play, still 19-12 overall. So definitely expect them to bounce back. But yeah, just a great test for Nebraska. They've been doing it very well at home. They've been doing it well on the road as well. But just gonna be interesting to see how they do in these road games, especially now. Second week in a row, you're carrying that national ranking. A lot of people kind of were saying that was a little curse on them that they lost to Creighton and then lost one of the Ohio State games, but they want to have that ranking. They want to get higher. They want to get top 20. So
Definitely.
I expect them to win another series.
All right. Now let's move on to softball. Softball 23-15 overall. 9-8 at home, 4-1 on the road though. 6-2 in conference play so far. Softball over the past weekend lost the series to Penn State 1-2, but they did get the win over Kansas on Tuesday. So for this last week, they were 2-2, just like Husker baseball. The one game they did win beat Penn State in 5 innings, 10-2, but the other 2 games, 2 close games, lost 2-1 and then 6-5 in 10 innings. So tough week for softball, but still, lots to look forward to as they've done pretty good in conference play so far, 6-2, and the 2 losses were within 1 run. So definitely still a lot to look forward for softball, even though Jordy Ball is not playing. I'm still excited for both baseball and softball this year for Huskers, just because, it's been, I feel like baseball has kind of been a little underwhelming over the past few years, but they really seem like they got it all together this year. And I'm excited for that. And then softball is just softball, man. They've had a lot of recent success, and I don't know if they'll have as much success this year as they did last year, but we'll have to see. It's definitely going to be tough with no Jordy Ball. But with that, we got to wrap up the show. Thank you for listening into the Daily Nebraskan Show on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. We'll be right back here tomorrow, same time, 11 to 12. It'll be me and Joseph on the mics, and we'll be here. But until then, see ya.
I think it's just vapor. Vaping